In Jamaica, millions of taxpayer dollars move through government ministries every single day. These funds are meant to pay teachers, build roads, develop communities, and provide services that improve people's lives. But every year, independent auditors take a close look at how that money is actually being managed. And sometimes, what they find raises serious questions. Recently, a major audit report tabled in Jamaica's parliament revealed millions of dollars in financial irregularities across several government ministries and agencies. The report was compiled by the Internal Audit Directorate within the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service and focused on how public funds were handled during the 2024 to 2025 financial year. While audits like this are routine, the findings in this report paint a troubling picture of weak oversight, poor record-keeping, and financial controls that simply are not strong enough to protect taxpayer money. One of the most alarming discoveries was made inside the Ministry of Education, Youth, Skills, and Information. Auditors found that more than 185 million Jamaican dollars in salary overpayments had been issued to employees. These overpayments were not part of legitimate bonuses or special allowances. Instead, they were caused by payroll and administrative errors that allowed employees to be paid more than they were entitled to receive. Payroll systems are supposed to be one of the most tightly controlled financial processes in government. But according to the audit findings, breakdowns in communication between human resource departments and payroll units allowed incorrect salary adjustments to be processed. In some cases, staff members continued receiving payments they were not supposed to receive. Salary overpayments are not a new issue in Jamaica's public sector. Previous audits have also found weaknesses in payroll systems, where delays in updating employee records allowed incorrect payments to slip through the cracks. But the problems inside the Education Ministry did not stop there. Auditors also discovered that approximately $23 million in public funds could not be properly accounted for. In simple terms, this means auditors were unable to find sufficient records showing where the money went or how it was used. On top of that, more than $21 million in payments were processed without the required supporting documentation. Supporting documents are critical in government finance. They act as proof that money was spent legitimately and for its intended purpose. Without these documents, auditors cannot confirm whether the spending was appropriate or if rules were followed. These kinds of gaps in documentation can create opportunities for waste, misuse of funds, or even corruption if left unchecked. But the Ministry of Education was not the only department flagged in the report. Another major concern emerged within the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, which is responsible for many of Jamaica's development projects, including roads, construction, and public infrastructure. According to the audit, nearly $99 million in project spending could not be verified. When auditors attempt to verify spending, they look for evidence that projects were actually completed, that contractors delivered the work they were paid for, and that the correct procurement procedures were followed. In this case, the auditors said the available documentation was not sufficient to confirm that the spending had been properly justified. Even more concerning was the discovery that more than $50 million had been spent on projects that were still unfinished. Some of these projects experienced delays due to poor contract management, weak project oversight, or administrative inefficiencies. When projects stall or remain incomplete, it can result in millions of dollars sitting idle while communities wait for promised improvements. In some situations, delayed projects can also become more expensive over time as costs increase and contractors must return to finish work that should have been completed earlier. The audit also highlighted issues inside the Passport, Immigration, and Citizenship Agency, commonly known as PICA. PICA plays a crucial role in Jamaica's border security and immigration system. But even this agency was not immune to financial irregularities. Auditors found that the agency recorded both payroll overpayments and underpayments totaling several $1 million. This means some employees received more money than they should have, while others were paid less than what they were owed. These types of payroll inconsistencies point to deeper problems within administrative systems that are supposed to track employee salaries, benefits, and deductions accurately. Across the public sector, auditors say these types of issues are often caused by a combination of outdated systems, weak internal controls, and inadequate monitoring of financial processes. But perhaps the most concerning part of the report is not just the individual financial errors themselves, it is the broader pattern they reveal. When multiple ministries show similar problems, it suggests systemic weaknesses in how public money is managed. Auditors emphasized that stronger financial controls, better documentation, and improved oversight are urgently needed to reduce the risk of mismanagement. For example, ministries are expected to maintain clear records for every payment they make. These records should include invoices, contracts, receipts, and approval documents that demonstrate why the spending was necessary. If those records are missing, incomplete, or poorly organized, it becomes extremely difficult to verify whether the money was spent responsibly. In some cases, the absence of proper documentation may simply reflect poor administrative practices. But in other cases, it can raise serious questions about accountability. Public sector audits serve an important purpose in Jamaica's democracy. They are designed to hold government institutions accountable and ensure that taxpayer funds are used responsibly. The findings are often reviewed by parliamentary oversight committees, which can question public officials and demand corrective action. Auditors also make recommendations aimed at improving financial management systems and preventing similar issues from happening again in the future. These recommendations may include upgrading payroll software, strengthening procurement procedures, improving staff training, and ensuring that financial records are properly maintained. However, implementing these reforms is often easier said than done. Government agencies operate within complex administrative systems, and changes to financial procedures can take time. But without meaningful improvements, the same types of irregularities can continue to appear year after year. For many Jamaicans, reports like these raise a simple but important question: how well is public money really being protected? Every dollar that goes missing, is mismanaged, or cannot be accounted for ultimately affects the country's ability to deliver services to its citizens. Money that could be used to improve schools, fix roads, strengthen healthcare, or support community development may instead be lost through inefficiency and poor oversight. That is why audit reports like this one play such an important role. They shine a light on weaknesses within the system and give the public a clearer picture of how government institutions are handling the resources entrusted to them. The hope is that by identifying these problems early, corrective action can be taken before financial mismanagement grows into something far more serious. As Jamaica continues to develop and invest in infrastructure, education, and public services, strengthening financial oversight will remain one of the key challenges facing government institutions. Because at the end of the day, transparency and accountability are essential for maintaining public trust. And when it comes to taxpayer money, every dollar matters.